Now, international investigation firms and investment consulting companies are one by one leaving China. Turning to invest into other countries not only enables a quicker disengagement from China, but also allows for influence projection in other developing countries. It is important not to let these countries become overly reliant on China, and to provide them with more, better, and more secure choices, instead of being exploited by a country that completely disregards human rights for the sake of its personal gain. Hi everyone, this is Stian, your favorite Polish Taiwan YouTuber. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to today's show. The little Pinkies going all around the world. Harassing the locals and screaming out nationalistic slogans has been an annoying issue for quite a while. CCP supporters crying out how they love the CCP while being abroad is not a recent phenomenon though. Recently, many people might have seen the news about some TikTok little Pinkies seeking attention by provoking confrontations, applying the same spirit they use in their porcelain bumping incidents in China, this time directed at Japan. First, let me explain what does pongse or porcelain bumping mean. It is when a person walks by a porcelain store minding their own business, but the store owner breaks one of the items by themselves, blaming that person who walked by for it. So basically it means to provoke an incident and then blame the victim for everything bad that happened. If you haven't seen it yet, let's take a look at this video first.
誰がうるせえや。何書いとんねんこれ。違法ですよこれ。違法じゃないです。違法です。違法じゃありません。違法ですよ。法務省のホームページ見てください。うるさいね。うるさい。さんの言い分はもちろん先ほど言った通りこれから伝えるんですけども、ただ先ほど言った通り我々に強制力がないのはご理解ください。あくまでも相手の方はこういうことをおっしゃってますということを伝えるのみで、それに対してじゃあどうしますかこうしますかっていうのを我々の。
This Chinese TikTok influencer named Greasy Hair 46 is clearly seeking attention by provoking hatred. He went to a restaurant run by an elderly Japanese couple in Tokyo to provoke a reaction and make a video out of it, basically to make some hateful anti-Japanese nationalistic content. During the pandemic, the elderly man, concerned about his wife's health, didn't want to serve customers or individuals coming from China. The borders were just opened and some elderly were afraid of coronavirus coming to Japan again. Hence, he put up a no entry sign. I must say that the sign itself may not have been appropriate, but it is a private business. What Chinese people can do is simply avoid patronizing that establishment and support other businesses, right? Standing at the door and filming a video to condemn this discriminatory sign is also acceptable. However, once you barge in and confront the owner loudly, rallying a group of Chinese individuals to harass and intimidate this business, that's what we call porcelain bumping. And we can easily see that the goal of this little Pinky is not spreading a word and promoting fairness and justice at all. Their sole objective is to incite nationalist sentiments among Chinese people to gain attention and followers. Given that the Chinese Communist Party has consistently propagated anti-Japanese sentiments within China, these wolf warrior influences easily gain attention by creating confrontations and fostering hatred through porcelain bumping incidents. If these Chinese influencers on TikTok were just expressing opinions online, that would be one thing. But oh no, they went beyond that. They physically harassed this restaurant. Several Chinese influencers in Japan, feeling that they can get views and likes by harassing that elderly couple, all went to that establishment to confront the owner. For instance, this Tokyo Tao brother even brought his girlfriend to bump some porcelain at this restaurant.
当老板知道我们是中国人后，不给我点餐，让我们出去。
不公平待遇的时候，我就装孙子，都是事不关己，高高挂起，以后就都和谐了。
They insisted on sitting at the table at this restaurant and then screamed at the owner. There's another guy, Dong Xiaoyelang, who has been throwing money at the establishment on camera.
我这不给你送钱来了吗？不开门了怎么？
There are also many Pinkies calling the restaurant, ordering food, and then cancel their orders, so that the owner can maintain the normal work of his business. Well, the Japanese people actually aren't ones to be trifled with either. Although Japanese culture is generally emphasizing being polite and reserved, these Chinese little pinks deliberately engaging in porcelain bumping behavior is absolutely intolerable. After this incident gained attention in Japanese media, not only did the Japanese police patrol outside this restaurant daily, but local citizens spontaneously showed showed support by visiting the establishment and contributing cash. Furthermore, Japanese lawmaker Makoto Matsumaru uncovered that Dong Xiaoyalan allegedly engaged in illegal sex work upon arriving in Japan to study the language. Immediately after this revelation, Dong Xiaoyalan backed down and posted a video saying they would cease causing trouble. Subsequently, many Hong Kongers, Taiwanese, and anti-CCP Chinese individuals in Japan enthusiastically provided strategies for the restaurant owner to retaliate. For instance, they suggested posting images supporting Hong Kong independence and commemorating Tiananmen massacre at the entrance, making these TikTok little pinkies risk having their accounts deleted for capturing sensitive content. This clever tactic swiftly proved effective as the little pinks promptly ceased harassing the restaurant. I also want to ask these Chinese little pinkies and wolf warriors, when facing polite and courteous Japanese police officers, you display such an arrogant attitude. I wonder if you dare to act so aggressively when facing Chinese public security or national security officers, or is it only in democratic countries that you dare to make such a scene? So we can find that the negative impressions Japanese people hold about Chinese tourists are primarily due to Chinese nationalism coupled with political maneuvering. We can see that the restaurant owners don't actually reject Hong Kongers who speak Cantonese or Taiwanese people who also speak Mandarin. Therefore, this isn't really racial discrimination, but the result of the actions of the Chinese government and Chinese little pinkies. For example, if you recall, some time ago when Japan announced the discharge of treated nuclear wastewater in accordance with world standards, the Chinese government smeared Japan internationally. They even attempted to incite protests from Taiwanese and Korean people against Japan, triggering panic buying of salt in China, Taiwan and Korea, nearly causing a shortage in salt supply. Of course, the CCP's habit of generating false or misleading information to incite hatred and foster antagonistic sentiments in the states they're targeting doesn't just impact the perceptions of the Japanese. Views of China in other countries are also deteriorating due to various incidents caused by the little pinkies. For instance, in the UK, those pinkies covered the artwork on a brick lane with a white paint and incredibly ugly communist propaganda slogans. Then they claimed that it was a work of art, but in reality it was a direct transfer of Chinese Communist Party aesthetics and Communist Party ideology into the UK. Simultaneously, because the original work of art was painted over with those ugly slogans, it left many local British people with a negative impression. Remember when the Chinese little pinkies hoarded masks during the pandemic, causing shortages in many countries? After the lockdown, their behavior of buying cold and fever medication worldwide also greatly irritated the locals. Not to mention larger international incidents such as the Chinese wolf warrior diplomat Lu Shaye openly saying at the time when Russia invaded Ukraine, in international law, these former Soviet countries have no effective status. This astonishing statement sparked an outrage among European countries. Or take for instance the incident when the Chinese spy balloons drifted over the United States airspace and passed through military-sensitive areas. The initial denial of the Chinese government only enraged Americans. This year, the Pew Research Center conducted its annual routine report, and among the 24 surveyed countries, the negative feelings towards China has been increasing annually. Several countries in particular have reached new highs in the level of animosity towards China. The survey found out that the 76% of respondents also believe that China doesn't consider the interests of other countries in its foreign policy. Additionally, the median of 57% of individuals believes that China significantly or somewhat interferes in the affairs of other countries. This result also directly contradicts with China's narrative because they often prefer to accuse the United States of interfering in China's domestic affairs through their spokespeople in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. However, in reality, it is China that frequently interferes in the affairs of other countries. But when these interference efforts are thwarted, China turns around and accuses the United States. However, I also think that there is another aspect that everyone should be concerned about, which is the increasing influence of the Chinese Communist Party in developing countries. Apart from actively spreading propaganda worldwide, which includes the 50-cent army targeting Western democratic countries and spreading anti-American sentiments, the CCP's projection of influence in countries in Africa, Southeast Asia and Central Asia is remarkably strong. This poses significant pressure on the United States because, geopolitically, the CCP continues to actively expand its control over these lower and middle-income countries through initiatives like the Belt and Road. For instance, in countries like Myanmar and the states that have lithium and other rare earth materials, criticism against China and the CCP has been diminishing. And it also doesn't contradict the data of the Pew Research Center. So at this point, I'd like to once again advise multinational corporations and Taiwanese businesses that it's better to leave China and invest in these developing countries than to continue staying in a place that completely disregards the rule of law and intellectual property rights. Now, international investigation firms and investment consulting companies are one by one leaving China. Turning to invest into other countries not only enables a quicker disengagement from China, but also allows for influence projection in other developing countries. It is important not to let these countries become overly reliant on China and to provide them with more, better, and more secure choices, instead of being exploited by a country that completely disregards human rights for the sake of its personal gains. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please press like, subscribe, and share. This is Stan. I see you in the next one. Bye bye.